What's up, guys?
What's happening, guys? It's Ty,
And I'm Max.
and this is the Wilderness Whiskey Roundtable podcast. Where are we at?
We are back for episode 8?
Ocho.
Ocho Cinco. Chad Ocho Cinco.
Chad Ocho Cinco. Big shout out. Sponsor the cast, man. You like us? Big 8. Holy crap. We are coming up on 10, and it's crazy.
Yeah. We're trying to come up with something fun to do for number 10, because it's kind of a big deal.
I think we do it in the hot tub.
Yeah.
Just the hot tub night on a Wednesday.
We'll get some friends over.
Yeah, I think so. We almost have to, like, make it a special episode, like do a Friday night one,
Oh, yeah.
so we can stay up late.
Yeah.
I'll get a babysitter.
Nobody gets mad at us.
Right, yeah. And there's no constituents in it. No.
It might run 3 hours.
Oh, man, that'd be great. I don't know what we'd talk about, but I think we could do it.
I think there's enough of unedited stuff that doesn't make the cut that we could just keep her running.
Yeah, we've had some freaking late nights the last couple of Wednesdays. I don't know what the hell keeps happening to us.
I think we just get into our podcast mode, and then we just, like, start podcasting about
Everything.
Yeah. Yeah, last week was some, like, medical jargon, talking about
And,
insulin.
yeah, and that was the second week in a row we've done the medical one. And I was thinking about that today. I think it's kind of funny because, to be quite honest with you, I think we just hit our little cusp of little jinky poos, and we turn into doctors.
Yeah. Yeah, but doctors that can't actually be doctors because
Right.
we'd get,
Undoctrinated.
yeah. We would get,
Real quick.
Yeah, we would get, disappeared real fast.
I can't help but think we'd be canceled in real life. So.
Yeah. This podcast would no longer exist either.
No, we would just fall off the
Everything's
face of
gone.
the earth.
Yeah,
I think
we'd disappear.
I think some of what we talk about is pretty valid, and I think we're both, especially you, you're very knowledgeable in it, and I don't know. I think it's funny because we just get on this rant, and they end up being like 45-minute long
Yeah.
things.
And they're good, but it's just, it doesn't go anywhere.
No, and I don't
that's
know if
fine.
I want to post it
No.
either because I don't. A lot of times I don't remember what we're talking about. So
We'd be spending equal time re-listening to what we said,
God.
making sure it was valid.
and I don't know if I like listening to myself talk enough
I
to do
hate
too.
it. I hate it. I like listening to make sure this sounds good, but I hate it at the same time.
Yeah, you like listen to yourself and you kind of cringe at it. New. You have a new friend.
Little Paparooski.
Oh, that dog of mine.
Little Ember
What's her middle name?
Rose.
Are you doing Rose?
No.
Why? I think it's cool.
Ember May.
Yeah, whatever.
I dibsed it. Trademarked.
It's not because it's my current dog's middle name anyways. I just thought it'd be cool if, since I'm going to be the dog's godfather, that you would take the middle name of my daughter.
Oh. We could have done Arlene.
Arlene?
What's your middle name?
Arlie, you dick.
Oh, I just made it into a girl name.
Fair enough.
Ember Arlene.
That's terrible.
That's horrible.
Ember Rose sounds cool because you think
Amber
about
Rose?
because of the Amber Rose. Because the ember of a cigar looks like a rose,
Sure.
right?
Kinda.
Ember Rose.
Yeah.
Huh?
We were going to do Ember Grace, but our niece is Emma Grace. So we couldn't do that.
Makes things difficult when you start tapping into family members' names, because then it's kind of weird, I feel like.
Yeah.
But, sorry, I just had to clean out the glass there. I'm drinking some whiskey here, and we leave these glasses out in the garage. And I was working on some projects in the house earlier this week, and so there was a pile of sawdust at the bottom of my glass. And
Not to mention just like weekly whiskey residue that just gets caked in the bottom and it just keeps layering up.
in cigar dust from when we're smoking in here. Yeah. Definitely need to get a fucking purifier, dude.
Yeah.
My lungs hurt after we do these.
Yeah.
I'm actually not even smoking tonight.
Yeah, I decided to bust into one just for the ambiance.
Yeah, you're good, man. No more power to you. I'm just coming off the nasty shit that's been going around with everybody, so.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get that back in shape, but
Yeah.
we did manage to get out fishing.
We did. Yep.
We didn't catch shit.
No.
I think the fish are not up by where we were fishing yet.
Yeah, no, they're... Also, I don't even know if they could get to where we were fishing, unfortunately, because it's so shallow, but...
Yeah, I think we talked about it, our last fishing on it. We went to the same spot. It's a little bay with a little inlet. And that inlet, I can't help but think is no less than 4 inches deep.
No. We did get a bunch of rain over this past week, so I'm hoping that helped. But we'll see. I mean, we needed it. It's probably still not enough, but at least it's something.
Yeah, we could probably use another week of it, I would say.
Yeah. We did take the little pup out with us. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, she did great. She was just kind of
yeah.
having a blast. We Max tied her to the tackle bag, so she just kind of hung out by that and was just kind of having a ball, rolling around and stuff.
She's a little trooper. I've only had her for 4 days now. We picked her up on Saturday, and she's been great. I mean, she's a ball of energy for sure. Mm-hmm. But she's smart. She's a smart cookie.
Yeah, I would say she's picking up on stuff pretty quickly already.
She's got sit down pretty dang well already. If you can get attention, that's the big thing right now. Is she just has so much energy that she's just like looking at everything, walking up to everything, jumping on everything. You know, so it's like trying to get attention is kind of the big thing right now. But when you have it, she listens really, really well. I think that's kind of the big thing we wanted to work on. Name and sit were the first like 2 things to for sure drill in. And the name thing is tough because you'll say it and she'll like give you a half a glance and then it's like squirrel.
Yeah.
And she'll be on to something different.
It's like a baby.
Yeah.
It really is. That's when I was training my daughter too, you know. I didn't have to focus as much on sit because she already just kind of laid there. But as far as the name thing, you know, you're yelling at her a lot. You know, she's crying and stuff. So she just didn't get it. It's like, grow up, you know.
Yeah, just grow up already. No, I think she's going to be awesome. The first toy we got her was a little stuffed duck, and she will fetch and bring it back to you already. You can't throw it too far, otherwise, again, she loses attention and gets distracted by something on the way. I thought you were going to sneeze.
No, I still clearing the shit. Yeah. Publishers Clearinghouse in the brain. No, I think they're still deep. We kind of talked about this. I think all the fish are still...
I think the water temp is colder than we thought it was, and we've had a bunch of cold days, and it didn't do any favors for it.
I just seen... I want to say... Well, I seen 2 different people. There were some guys in Faribault on one of the Facebook pages I follow, and they temp the water, and I think it was like 40s, it was low 40s.
Yeah.
And then I watched these guys over in Fairmont, they were going after the white bass.
Sure.
And he temped it at 40 degrees.
Yeah. See, and that's just too cold.
I was like, oh, shit, no wonder why.
I think at one point we were probably in the high 40s, and they were probably starting to push up a little bit. I don't think they were getting... shallower than 15, but they were climbing out of the basins, and now I think it's just kind of pushed them right back out.
Something I don't understand is we were out there, right before ice off, and that week we were temping the water at 36 degrees.
Yeah.
I mean...
And we're talking that's a month and a half ago.
And that was still, we had...
With ice on top of it.
There was still 10 inches. Yeah. When we temped it at 36 degrees, I don't understand how that was over a month ago at this point, a month and a half. I don't understand how our temperatures have only risen another 4 degrees,
Yeah, it's been cloudy and it's been cold, though. I mean, just because we don't have ice anymore doesn't mean that it's heated up that substantial. Ice...
We did have those 80-degree days like 3 days straight, and it was 80 in frickin' beginning of March.
And see, that I would think would heat those shallows up pretty significantly. I just don't know if it's enough to get the whole lake warm and get those fish moving. You know what I mean? I think, because when we did temp the water, we did think it was relatively high, but that was in a really shallow bay. So it's like, it's one of those things, like, is the whole lake like that, or is it only because you're temping in 6 inches of water?
Is it? is it a proven thing, or is it correlated more to like a timely thing, or is it a temperature thing?
As far as them pushing up, usually it's temperature.
Okay, so it's not like a, because like salmon, every certain time of year they'll swim up river to spawn or whatever. You know,
I think there's still your calendar fish. I think there's fish that are very, very reliant on like moon phases and time of year and stuff like that.
Is that kind of a baby boomer thing?
Probably.
Like the fish themselves are the baby boomer generation?
Yeah.
So we're waiting for the Gen Z
thing.
fish who just do whatever the fuck they want when they want.
Right, because they'll be up there the whole time.
They're just like, oh, I'm not going to go.
I don't need rules.
I'm not going to stay in the hole.
Mom, I don't need to listen to you.
There's not even ice anymore.
I'm going to go where I want. I'm not going to come home tonight.
Yeah, you can suck it, you stupid guppy.
No, I think a lot of it is, sustainable temperatures to support their offspring too. Like, there is too cold of water temp for like eggs to be an efficient environment to grow and stuff. So it's
to germinate.
To fertilize.
Germinate.
To fertilize.
Fertilism.
Embryonic functions.
Gotta keep on embryating.
No, I do think there probably are calendar fish that push up, but I still don't think they lay until water temperatures are appropriate.
Sure.
Which is always so interesting, too, because, that can happen in March or it could happen in May. Mm-hmm. Which, at this point, it might happen in May. We might be right on pace for fishing opener. I was thinking we were going to be way ahead of it, but now this weather's just pushed it back again.
Right.
So, I don't know if we're going to miss out on it.
Oh, yeah, because we seen snow again.
Uh-huh.
Now, that was crazy. So, here's a big difference. We're over here in Janesville. I got a cousin who lives over in Elysian. Would have been... What day was it raining the hardest? Monday. It would have been Monday. He called me. And he's like, hey, is it snowing there? And I'm like, it did for like 30 seconds. And we had some pretty big, like I would say golf ball size snowflakes. Like
they were massive.
Yeah, in between the rain.
Yep.
And it was falling with the rain. And I was like, whoa, that's wild. He called me and goes, I'm not even shitting you. He's like, I'm talking baseball, softball size chunks of snow were falling out of the sky.
It's like it was picking up rain on the snow and then turning it into snow, and then the snowflakes were just growing. It was the weirdest thing.
He said he couldn't see.
Yeah.
He said he was driving, and he's like, I almost had to pull over because it was white out, and these things were hitting my windshield. And I was like, people were throwing snowballs.
Snowballs at your windshield, yeah.
Like, no, we didn't have that. We just had a little bit of mix in there, but...
And ours were big, too. It was still weird here, but it wasn't quite like that.
No. So I thought that was just kind of a weird frickin' Minnesota thing again.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't stop. It just continues to be this weird line of weather that I don't know if we're ever going to be able to follow this year if it maintains this, like, odd up and down.
And I just hope this isn't, like, the direction it's going. Like, I know you talk about the global warming stuff and all of that jazz. Like, is that just what we're experiencing? Is this just, it's going to be so inconsistent that we just don't have seasons anymore and it just does whatever the fuck it wants to? And
and that's such a touchy argument, too, because everybody seems to have their hat in the ring for what it really is or what it isn't. And, because there's some people saying, like, well, it's global warming. And then there's some people saying that, no, it's the natural progression of
the 10 years
Earth.
of what
Yeah, because, like, 100 years ago it did this, or, 1,000-year progression, it does this. Naturally, my opinion on it from learning over time what it is, and not necessarily whether it's global warming or this or that, but, like, something that I think I believe more in is it's sort of a natural progression, but also the fact that we're heating is better than if we were going the opposite direction.
Correct.
Because it takes, like, and I'm not a scientist, but my understanding of it is, like, the atmospherical temperature like at a certain height, if that were to drop like 4 degrees or something, we would go into like an ice age again, and everybody and everything would just die. So I don't know. Like, and that's just from listening to like other people talk about it and
I
stuff
don't
too.
know much about all that
No,
stuff.
I just think it's crazy. Like,
I think it's satellites. I think it's government controlled.
HARP.
I'm just poking the bear now. I don't actually know.
What is it? HARP? And then there's the other. I don't remember the other freaking acronym for it.
Well, don't you think if the Earth was flat, we would all be experiencing the same weather?
Oh God, we're getting into flat earthing. Oh boy, you got to get past the ice wall because that's where the hidden civilization is.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. I
Don't shut me out. I want to talk about it now. No,
This will be on the edited out podcast tonight. The after hours.
Yeah, right.
After hours roundtable.
Conspiracies with Max and Ty.
No, I am ill prepared over here. I left my iPad over at the shop at Ruski, so we're kind of
you
running off of your
frickin' dummy.
your paper outline
Hey,
over here.
guess what? You know what, ladies and gentlemen? I might put a little poll up in this one because you guys like paper better. I'm a guy who still likes to write it down on a piece of notepaper. I can look at it. I can cross things off. I can check it off. If I put it in my phone, notes and shit,
Yeah.
I don't use it.
Huh.
I've made lists in my phone for like things to do or get done or this or that or whatever, and then I totally forget they're in there.
Yeah.
And I still forget the thought.
Yeah, and then you find them a year later, and then you're like, "What the fuck
shit,
was
yeah,
this?"
what
I mean,
is-
it doesn't make any sense
No.
to you anymore because it's irrelevant.
If I write this down, like I'll remember some of these notes 2 weeks from now just because I wrote it down. That's just how my brain works. So, I'll drop that in the Spotify little poll thing. See what people still like. It's a dumb thing, but
No, I'd be curious because I do use both.
yeah.
I just like if I'm sitting here, I'd rather have a screen in front of me than a piece of paper. But like if I'm in the shop or something, I'm chicken scratch on a piece
Sure.
of ply or something. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
handwritten stuff. When
See,
I'm
I think
doing
the
hands-on.
screen for me, and that's my ADHD.
You just want to play games.
Yeah. It's too easy to get distracted. Like I could turn my laptop on here and it'd be just like, I'd start funneling out my words. It'd just be like,
Why is that up? That's disgusting. Oh my god.
yeah.
That's what you watch?
Dude, whatever. How's Canada coming along?
Canada is chugging along.
Yeah?
We are basically within a month now, which is wild. We're kind of feeling a little bit of pressure, especially because there's still some unknowns and stuff.
Front end or rear end?
Rear end.
Rear end pressure?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Not
that's-
the good kind. I don't know if I'd
Yikes.
rather have front or rear.
I
What?
suppose it depends on the force of pressure, which way it's heading.
Right. And who's applying the pressure? No, I don't know. I think at some point this month we're going to try to run a couple trailers up and just see what the process is, getting them across. We just wrapped up the second trailer. We were on the phone with the broker that's helping us get everything situated, and it seems to be pretty streamlined. It should speed the process along, but we just don't know. You know, so it's one of those things where on paper it sounds good, but we just don't know what the heck we're getting into. So I think we're gonna have to take a trip and just book off 3 days or something and just go up there and just try it and see what it's like. Our boats aren't here yet, so that kind of sucks.
Are they supposed to be?
Yeah, we were expecting early. It was supposed to be late February to start. Now late March. We're in April already. Then it got moved to early April.
Yikes.
And yeah, so now we're still
kind of.
April
Well,
4th?
it's April 3rd.
third. Yeah, nuts. So it just, I don't know. It's one of those things where I think it's gonna be fine, but it's just you're kind of the clock's ticking now. You can feel it, hear it in the back of your mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's just ticking away.
that's definitely back. That's back end pressure for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of knocking back there. Just
Yeah.
hello.
The nice thing is the projects are getting done that we are able to do.
Right.
So I feel pretty good about that. The laser is finally at a point where it can just settle a little bit. That poor thing has been working nonstop.
Yeah.
We just wrapped up, we laser engraved whiteboards, which is kind of cool. That was a new material that we haven't done, but we did some brag boards for the cabins so people could write down with a dry erase marker and log their number of catches for the day. So that was kind of a fun little project. They took 7.5 hours to engrave.
Each?
Per.
Holy shit, how big of an engravement did you do on them?
They're big. The biggest one was a 10 name by 7. So it's like a table, basically, like a grid.
So you engrave the grid onto the actual...
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. So you got a section for a name, and then you got every day of the week. So then each person, so say it's a 10-person cabin, they could write 10 names on the left side. Say Jason caught 100 fish on Monday, and they can kind of have a little friendly competition within the cabin. And then we put like a little one on the bottom that was just big fish of the week. And it's got a walleye and a pike, so you could just record who caught it and how long it was and see, kind of just have a fun competition that way.
Right.
I think it builds a little bit of camaraderie, and I'm hoping, if everybody gets along, we can kind of do something similar in the gazebo and just kind of like get people going at it with each other from the other cabins.
We don't talk about fight night at the cabin.
No. Thursday night's fight night.
Don't talk about Fight Club. There's one rule of Fight Club. Oh, we got another group of them. They're all pissed off because Jeff from Cabin 2 is pissed at Marty from Cabin 3 that he stole his fish, even though this lake is 80 fucking miles long.
My money's on the Gilmore group. You should see those guys.
Yeah?
Oof. I'm just kidding. I
was like, I kind of had like a little bit of like a surprise, like you're calling them out already. I'm like, oh shit, you just called out a group.
That is a group that is coming, but I have no idea.
Oh, sure.
So if you guys are listening, you guys get a
shout out.
Yep.
So you guys better perform.
Prove me right.
Yeah, perform.
Those guys are dogs.
We the Gilmore group.
No,
double whiskey cool. Drink there. That was nice.
Smooth.
Tied up.
We're on the same page here.
We kind of touched on it.
See, this is what your whole paper thing is all jumbled up. Now we're all over the place.
I know. I totally actually just kind of screwed myself a little bit.
Yeah. And you wrote it in pen.
I did.
Can't even erase it.
No. I go like this. Watch.
Whoop. Yep. Scribbled out.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to ask you about Canada, the boats.
Uh-huh.
You're running your Garmin stuff on there.
Yep.
You are Garmin wholesaled.
Yeah. We actually just finalized that yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's exciting. That's good for people to know.
Yeah. So...
Because you guys are going to do sales of some of their stuff, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So, yeah, we'll have that option.
Shout out Garmin. Let's
Garmin?
I had like a weird like phlegm there. Garmin. I think I said it in Jewish a little bit there. In Hebrew, sorry, didn't mean to offend nobody there. But no, big shout out Garmin. Maybe we do a little ad.
A little something, maybe
a little ad action.
Maybe a little giveaway for something. Maybe
I mean, you scratch our back, I scratch hard there.
No, I've always been a big fan of the Garmin stuff.
You've sold a lot of Garmin stuff.
Yes, yeah.
I will say that.
Just in my past career, we'll call it, I had the opportunity to wholesale some Garmin stuff, and I sold a lot of Garmin stuff.
You moved more product than any Garmin dealer I've ever met.
Oh, how many do you know?
I've never met one. You're the one.
I'm the one. No, it's just a cool opportunity, especially for actually being in the outdoor industry now as my career. Like, it just even aligns better. So it's a little different because obviously we're in Canada, so we have to use a Canada sales rep. So a lot of our stuff is going to probably have to be shipped through the resort up there.
Oh, that kind of...
It's different, yeah.
Hinders things.
Yeah.
As far as setting your boat up?
That's going to line up fine. It'll all be here for that. But
it'll come to the States.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm actually kind of looking forward. I'll be out at the shop those days.
Yeah.
I enjoy those things.
Yeah.
We did it on your boat, and I don't know what it is. I enjoyed running wires and setting up screens, and like, because when I was a kid, I was the guy everybody called to put subs in their car.
Yep, the speaker wire guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and I love that shit. So,
well, and I think too, like, it'll be kind of fun to just get a bare bones boat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just untouched.
And you customize it to what you need.
Not to mention it's newer, so like I'm hoping that it's built in accordance to knowing that you're going to run wires and stuff. Mm-hmm. So it might just be a little laid out a little bit smarter in accordance to that, as opposed to having to shove wires in places that they obviously didn't think that you were going to have to shove a wire. That's my favorite part about wiring stuff, is they're like, oh yeah, you're going to put wires through here, but I'm not going to give you a spot to put them.
Dude, should we customize your boat a little bit?
100%.
Should we do, I mean, like, we did kind of the removable casting deck for your other boat, your Skeeter.
Yeah. What are you thinking? I see the wheels turning.
I think we
You're
build...
starting to smoke.
It's coming out of the headphones. I think we need to, like, fabricate something that you can even haul it up with you to Canada. And it's something that's really easy for you to just grab a couple handles. You can remove it without having to remove a bunch of gear. Like, you don't have to remove any of your Garmin stuff. We just build it into it. So if you're just going out by yourself, you can have your casting deck and, like, the shit that you enjoy.
Yep.
Especially when you're going up there to, like, learn the areas and stuff. Because I'm thinking you would be a lot happier on a casting deck.
Yeah, I probably would. Yeah.
And for guest sakes, you can't, because it's a liability, obviously. But while you're up there fishing by yourself, or when I come up, we can have a fucking casting deck.
Well, in my thought too, so like, the way that I'm planning to break the lake down is, you know, I'm gonna hit, let's say, our 20-mile corner of the lake, right? Mm-hmm. Most of that's gonna get done just off the back, off the tiller, idling around, side scanning, kind of learning the lay of the structure. But when I'm fishing off the trolling motor, I want something to stand on right there. That's just me personally. And then not to mention, like, for fishing big pike, I treat that just like bass fishing. Yeah. I want to be elevated. I want to be able to get an extra 20 feet on my cast. I want to be able to see things from a higher elevation. Like, there's just perks to it for certain
big shout out Costa.
Fishing. Shout out Costa. You know?
Big shout out Costa.
Jeepers.
See things.
See things. See into the water.
I see all. He's like Poseidon on a boat.
I don't even need a boat if I'm Poseidon.
Wow, who's the other one? Aquaman.
Aquaman, yeah.
I just see into the water.
Just part fish.
Yeah, it's fine. I actually bring him in by just...
Yeah, I got a little sonar. Talk to him.
He carries a trident. He looks really weird, but it's fine. If you can look past that, he's a really nice guy.
I actually wear nothing but a seashell.
Yeah. See, that's the part you got to look past. That's what I was talking about. He is very friendly with the kids. I just wouldn't let him get too close.
Jesus Christ. Oh, shit. No, I am really excited to get everything rigged up on it. You know, we'll have new trolling motors, new brackets, new wire harnesses, all that fun stuff. We are going to have to figure out something for a removable live scope bundle, because I'm not going to wire the black box into the boat.
Removable live scope bundle. I'm trying to think.
Basically something that whole, like, the ice shuttle would clip into.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? So it stays on the shuttle.
Because it's just the unit. It's only, an 8x6 unit, isn't it?
No, I got it on the 12. Are you talking the base of the shuttle?
Yeah, your actual shuttle, isn't it just the black box that you need to clip on and off?
Yeah, but I want to leave it on the, like, ice shuttle that we take ice fishing.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to be able to leave the battery, the black box, the screen, all as one.
Oh, you want the screen on there as well?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because I'm going to run that 12-inch screen for all my live scope stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. We could do it.
I'm just thinking, even if you just frame in a little lip around
that's what I was thinking.
It probably works fine. Because my thing is I'm going to want it in times back by my tiller handle.
Yep.
And in times I'm going to want it up front off the bow.
Yeah.
You know, like, again, pike fishing, I'm going to be fishing up front. And I'm going to be wanting to look around up there. There's just different situations where I'd want to be able to move it. Plus, I don't want to have to worry about unwiring that black box, putting it back on the shuttle come ice fishing time. That's annoying.
So you're just going to run wires up to it to
No.
where it would be on the boat?
Nope, I'll run the battery pack and everything on it. It'll run off its own battery.
Oh, yeah, duh. That's
Yeah.
why you're keeping... Okay, I understand now. I thought you were integrating it with everything still.
Nope, I'll run a network cable to it. Mm-hmm. So I'll just
So that's simple. Yeah.
So it'll still talk to each screen. So realistically, even if I had it in the back, I can network it to the front, so I wouldn't even have to move it really if I didn't want to. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, that it just seems easier. I know I talked about just getting another black box and just permanently wiring that into the boat. Mm-hmm. But then it just feels so excessive that you have to buy 2 black boxes essentially at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah, no, I think it'd be pretty easy just to, like you said, we've rigged up we've jerry-rigged up a lot of things in this garage that actually have worked really proficiently.
Pretty much everything's turned out.
Yeah.
Even if it's not the best way to do it, it works.
Well, and a lot of the times, like, we start one way, and then we'll fabricate something to the complete form almost, or we get, like, 3/4 of the way through it, and we're like, okay, this sucks.
Yep.
Because we both had this vision, and we both, like, actually put it together as we envisioned it, and we both go, yeah, this isn't working.
It's not going to work the way we thought it was going to.
And then we usually will go spend more money and refabricate it, and then we're like, oh, why didn't we do this in the first place?
Yeah. But that's also, like, that's just part of the job, too. Like, that's figuring things out. That's woodworking. That's shop stuff. Like, it doesn't always work the way you want to, and sometimes you have to make decisions based on the tools that you have at hand.
We could call this the rework garage, because we're always reworking everything we do.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where we've had to just kind of on the fly figure something out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or completely scrap something and then just, like, scramble. And sometimes our scrambles have taken less time and been more, like...
Logical and efficient.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's kind of funny. So that just leads me to the point of, like, just jump headfirst into your project. Don't even think about it and just figure it out as you go.
Well, we're pretty avid, like... And this has always kind of been me. I don't know if it's always been you. But I'm always the type of guy who's like, okay, I've got this project. Generally tend to hyperfixate on said project. And I will go walk through Menards or I'll go walk through Home Depot. And I'm like, I'll generally have a list of things I know I need. And then for my unknowns, I'm like, okay, I think this, and this could potentially work.
Yep.
And so I just end up, like, grabbing shit off the shelves, and I'm like, okay,
yep,
let's go. Let's make it work.
See, my thing is, that always gets me, is, like, I know something exists, but I don't know what it's called. And I don't know how to explain it to somebody so that they can tell me what it's called. Like, I know this exists. I've seen it, or I've used it, or I've seen somebody else use it. And I don't know what it's called, and I don't know what aisle to find it in. I can't just Google search it. Like, you know, so then I'm walking down the aisles just trying to stumble upon it, basically.
I know you and I have run into that problem before, too. And so, like, it goes 2 ways with that statement, too. It's like, okay, I know it exists, and I know it's a thing. But then, like, you're looking for it. And then we've run into it where we found it. Or found something like it, and you're like, oh, that is the thing, and we're sure that was the thing we were thinking of, but it actually has nothing to do with what we're doing.
It doesn't work.
No, and you're like, oh, yeah. Nope, it doesn't exist, but I thought it, because you're, like, comparing it to that thing, because we've done that, like, 4 times.
Or I'll gaslight myself into, like, thinking it doesn't actually exist.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Like, the fact that I can't come up with a name for it just means that I just made it up out of thin air.
You're like, no, it was never real, never has been real.
Well, that 45-degree angle iron just doesn't actually exist.
It's fake. It doesn't exist. It's never existed. There's nothing like it anywhere, ever. Yeah, no.
Oh, man.
Oh, jeez, yeah. No, we've done some really dumb projects. We've done some really cool projects, and I think that's why we work well together, because we both have dumb but really good ideas at the same time.
Yeah.
They're stupid good.
And see, like, it's always funny because Andy has this line out at the shop of, like, what is it? It's something about like, it's not a home for the blind or something like that, because a lot of my ideas are literally just like, it works, but it's not pretty.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so it's like, yeah, if you can overlook the fact that it's ugly,
I
it still gets the job done.
There have been projects you and I have done where you're like so like anxious to get said project done that you just start fucking cutting corners. And that's where you and I differ a little bit, is because I'm so freaking detail oriented.
Yeah.
I'm anal as fuck about certain things. And I get that from Dad.
Yeah.
100,000% that's
Shout
the
out
same.
Scotty.
Yeah, big Scott. Thanks a lot. But then again, like, because of my analness, sometimes some of these projects turn out to be freaking amazing. Because, like, there's been times where it was, like, such a little thing, and you're like, no, just fuck it. No, we'll just scrap it, and we'll just do this. And I'm like, give me 5 minutes. And you're getting frustrated, which, whatever, you know, like, it happens. I get frustrated all the time with shit, too. And you're just like, let's just do this way and be done with it. And I'm like, give me 10 minutes with it. And then it ends up turning out, and you're like, all right, I'm glad we did the extra time to do it this way. No, it's funny, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to have like a project of my own too, of like, you know, this is something that I'm gonna use every day for the next 6 months,
right.
basically, you know. So it's one of those things where it's like I get the chance to kind of make it my own and make it however I want to. And I don't know, it might change how I want it once I get up there too, which is kind of the other fun part of it, is like it might be a kind of a forever changing based on scenario type thing. So we got to make it be
Interchangeable.
Yeah, you got to be able to adjust it on the fly and stuff, which is kind of neat.
I can't help but think, yeah, like it's almost going to be a guarantee that you're going to be changing things a lot. And I think a lot of it, not even, like, it'll come down to a point where you're just so accustomed to what you're going with, where you're going with it, that they're not going to be drastic changes, but they're little changes over time as you take more people out to fish, as you learn what works, what doesn't work, to like a year from now, you're going to have everything just like niched out. And not even your year, probably by the end of your first season up there, you're going to be like, okay, I need to change this. I need to change this. This works well, and this could work better if, you know.
Yep.
And
just
you're
have
gonna
it dialed.
Yep, and you're gonna knock it out. And that's where I would encourage you to definitely be like taking notes, especially your first couple guides. Because I think that's, just looking at it from my perspective, where I screw myself a lot is when I'm like working on something or working on fixing something. I have a tendency to think that I'll remember what that was, and I don't write it down.
Yep.
And like, oh no, I'll remember it because it's important. It's super important. I'll remember that. And I don't know if you struggle with this, but I do on a day-to-day basis. So write it down, and then
I actually just downloaded an app that I can use to like log all of my trips, which is going to be kind of cool to be able to sit back and look at that at the end of the year. I think too, like being the fact that I'll be kind of taking the back seat on a lot of those trips, I'll be able to kind of document everything on the fly. And I think that'll make kind of a cool like little recap thing at the end of the year, and I can learn a lot from it by revisiting that stuff.
here's where pen and paper is going to come into play for you, buddy.
I'm going to use an app, Ty.
I know, but just listen, hear me out. Just hear me out for 1 second. You can hate it or you can use it.
All right.
If I'm paying you to guide me,
You don't want me on the phone.
I'm turning around and I'm seeing you like, even if it's a couple times, it has a tendency to rub people the wrong, especially people in our community.
Yeah, I can get it. I can see it.
So I would
think
just
if
be careful with it.
I think I would have to actually like be very transparent from the beginning of the fact of like, I log everything, and that's how I can be a good, efficient guide for you. So if you catch me on the phone, I'm probably logging things to pattern stuff. You know, just be transparent with the fact of like, hey, I'm actually more present than you think I am, because I'm actually trying to record significant amounts of data so that I can provide you a better service at the end of the day. My thing with paper is we're on a fucking lake, Ty.
No, I get it. I do.
It's going to get wet.
That's why I said you're not going to love what I'm saying, But you know what's not going to get wet?
In the rain?
Have you ever seen one of them little notebooks?
Yes, the rainproof.
Yeah.
They make those like never wet notebooks.
And I'm sorry, but I watched Blue's Clues my whole life, man. Not my whole life. That sounds weird. I watched Blue's Clues
I was
growing
watching
up.
it when I got here today.
We just got a letter. No, but like, he always had his handy dandy notepad. Okay.
Yeah.
And
they make the Right and Rain ones. That's the brand.
There you go. See, so shut the hell up with your. If it rains out, it's gonna get wet. And why would your notebook get wet on a boat?
I don't know. What if it's raining outside?
That's the only way.
Well, that's a way. You just asked for a way.
So you answered your own freaking question.
Yeah.
Dick, put your phone down. Be present. No, that was my thought on it. It's just like, people get touchy about that, and I would hate to, like... It's the dumbest fucking way to get a bad review.
Yeah, that's true. I get it.
It's the quickest nowadays, especially.
Yeah.
Like, because there's certain people who are gonna just be that way and are gonna be adamant about finding what's wrong.
Yep.
And that is the quickest way to just being like, yep, we went out there and this motherfucker was on his phone the whole time.
Yeah, didn't pay any attention to us. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
And it could be something as simple as you doing it twice through the whole thing. And
or like, ironically, this person got snagged on a rock while you were mid-log of fish that was caught just before his just last cast or something. And it's like, instead of walking up there to unsnag his lure, you were recording his last fish that was caught. Mm-hmm. It's ironic, but shit happens like that. And I get where it could be frowned upon.
And I've definitely experienced, like, paid services where actually these services required somebody to actually fucking be listening to what I'm asking about and talking about. And they're sitting there typing on a keyboard the whole time.
Yeah, like, are you paying any attention to me?
Yeah.
And even if you're writing what I'm saying verbatim, you're still not, like, actually present and, like, hearing me.
Well, and the thing was that they weren't writing what I was talking about. They were actually, like...
checking their stocks.
Well, yeah, like, they were doing other things that didn't pertain to what we were working
irritating.
On. And it consistently happened. And they had initially said, oh, don't mind me, while I'm doing this, I'm going to be doing this. And I'm like, oh, that's fine. Thinking it would be like a once in a while thing, but it was like whole time. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's irritating. Yeah, I think if I'm going to do it the way that I was thinking, I'm just going to have to be transparent at the beginning of the trip.
Mm-hmm.
Be
transparent and then just be conscious of how much time you're doing it. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and I think, too, like, if I'm going to do it the way that I want to, like, the guests have to be engaged in it too, because I'm gonna want to talk like, hey, like, what did you feel, or what were you bouncing the bottom, like, were you mid jig stroke, like, they're gonna have to be at least somewhat engaged, and I think they'll get a better feel of like, oh, this dude is like hyper detailed, which again, that can gain some respect sometimes, and it might frustrate people depending on the type of person they are.
Well, and
I can't make
like,
everybody happy, but
no. I think the biggest thing and like, this is just my perspective as a consumer. And again, I'm not saying don't do this at all. I'm just saying, like, gauge your audience. Don't roll your fucking eyes at me. No, gauge who you're taking out, because that'll make a big difference too. Because there's going to be some people, especially like new fishermen, or not experienced, fishermen, or kids, or whatever it is that they're bringing out with you on that boat. There's going to be times where they want you to be essentially Hawkeyeing them.
Yeah, well, right. There are people who are going to need more attention than others, for sure.
And I think that's important just to note, is like, if people, and that would be a good way to, if you're going to document it like that, that's a good starter conversation to have before you get on the boat. It's like, okay, what are you guys in need of? How much attention do you think you need? Like, I can get you guys on fish.
What's your expectations for the trip, essentially, at the end of the day? Like,
and I think that's a good way to approach it. And then you're not...
just understanding skill levels and what they are wanting to accomplish. And, like, if we're just chasing a big fish, you know, that might be one where, like, I do have to be hyper focused on that person making a spot-on cast, pinpointing things, you know, making sure their jig cadence or their speed or what, you know, like, there's a lot of things to pay attention to there to actually get that job done. Now, if we're going out, we're going to try to catch 200 fish.
Right.
You know, there's just big differences in what you're trying to accomplish in the day, too. You know, or if you're just trying to sit down and learn a new technique, well, guess I probably won't have that much to log. I'm going to be teaching more that day.
Right, yeah.
You know, so it definitely is going to be client dependent for sure.
Yeah, because if I were to come up to Canada...
I'm going to need to hold your fucking hand.
Fuck you. Not that extensive, but, I mean, I'd want to learn.
Right.
You know, quite a bit. Like, that's the type of person I've always been, though, is like I said, once I'm on something, I'm on it. I'm on that scent. I'm not letting go of it, and I'm going to learn as much about whatever topic it is as quickly as possible. And so I'm going to be, like, asking questions. Is this right? Is this right? How'd that one look? You know, and not every cast by any means, but there's people like that.
No, and that's something too, like, I want to teach you that. So it's like, you know, if we are pinpointing on a single fish on live scope, you know, you might be standing right next to me looking at the screen, but I need to explain to you, one, what you're looking at. Two, like, oh, that one was good. Nope, let's reel that one in quick. Let's get out there a little bit further to the left. Or, you know, that one you just blew right past it. Or, you know, whatever. Like, so you can actively learn how to attack that.
And I'm thinking too, that's a good, you being a wholesaler in Garmin.
Oh, yeah. I think there's a lot of stuff that I can teach from an electronic standpoint. You know, that was actually one of my favorite things about that guided trip down in Missouri. And it was like, some people would hate it. I can fully imagine that. But
yeah, he's not trying to upsell you by any means.
No, but I sat shoulder to shoulder to this dude on the bow of the boat and actively got to learn, like, his perspective of how to approach a fish that I could see on the screen. You know, like, that was cool. You know, you're in close quarters. You're kind of standing on top of each other to be able to both see the screen and him steer and me cast and all this stuff. But, like, there's a lot of information that can be gained from that from somebody who can actively teach that.
And you're, like you said, you can pick out a fish.
Correct.
And, like, singularly figure out how you're going to attack the approach on catching said fish. And that, I think, is... Well, and it's insane. It's super cool.
Yeah, and what's cool, too, is, like, you know, there's a lot of people who don't know how to read side scan. Side scan's confusing.
Side scan's hard.
Live scope's confusing. Like, there's a lot of things that can technologically help you, but a lot of people don't have exposure to it.
Right, and I think that's, too, from, like, that perspective of the Garmin stuff is... you being able to teach people this and, like, take away that, like, I'd call it almost being afraid of it.
Yeah.
You know, like, you're like, yeah, you know, I'd love to have one, but they're just too complicated.
Yep.
You know, because, I mean, when we initially started, I was always a Vexilar guy as far as ice fishing went, and I'm tried and true in the Vexilar because I know every operation of them.
Yep.
You know? Up to a certain level.
Well, and you think how proficient you are at reading a Vexilar, which is actually, and it's really, really impressive because you don't get that much information from a Vexilar. But as you learn something extensively through and through, you can tell when you got a good fish down there, when you got a taker, like when you got one that's just not going to do it.
Right.
And that's all from a 2D line.
Right.
You know, like in simple terms, like that's the dumbest down version of electronics, and you can interpret it to a significantly fuller extent than what most people would be like, oh, that's just a line on the screen.
Yeah, and that's just from years of using it. And then you introduced Live Scope to me, and it was like, whoa, okay, this seems scary because, A, everything new is scary anyways, but B, I mean, there is a lot of information to interpret, you know, when you're looking at it, how to use it, how to switch switch between like
your perspectives and
down scanning, outward scanning, you know, all these different proponents. And plus there's like 400 different frickin' buttons on the screen. You're like, whoa, this is super scary.
And there's so many different settings, you
Correct.
know, where like a Vexilar is 2 knobs, and you can kind of just figure it out for
Right.
the most part.
Yeah.
You know,
So you're going from the most rudimentary way, which has been tried and true for what, 100
long time.
100 years at least?
Yeah.
And then you're going to something that's A, new, and B, just has 1,000 extra settings. But realistically, most of those settings, you don't necessarily have to use them.
No, and that's the cool thing is once you get a baseline, you know, you might adjust a couple things here and there, but you're not doing it every time you're out. You're not doing it that frequent, you know. So it's like once you kind of understand the elementary adjustments, it is a lot more simple.
Right.
I think the expense too is a big thing. You know, like it's 5 times the cost of a basic fish finder. You know, so it's like obviously with more capabilities, the price tag comes with it, which is also intimidating. So there's a lot of things where people like, you know, they just might not have experience or understanding behind it, and it's something cool that I'm really excited to teach. And that's why I really want everything networked too, so that way, regardless of where you're sitting in the boat,
You can see what's
you
going
can
on.
see what I'm looking at, and I can explain it to you.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, God forbid we have a horrible fishing trip, but you learned something really, really cool about electronics that you would have never learned.
Right, which, I mean, you can utilize when you go home. I
Right,
mean, you know,
right.
even, like, here's a good example of it. I learned a lot from using your system, your Garmin system. Dad's got the Lawrence on the boat, on this pontoon that came with it when he bought it. Really, really expensive Lawrence system. It's like a frickin' $1,800 Lawrence. And I just kind of messed with it for a long time. I got a little bit of detail on it. But learning from how to read your Garmin stuff, I'm now able to transfer that into, you know, other systems. So
Correct,
it's not
because-
necessarily tried and true to just one
No,
system.
that's the concept is the same. You know,
You're
it-
still reading a certain form of sonar.
correct. It's no different than you're a big Vexilar guy, and I might use traditional sonar off of my Garmin screen in the same format that a Vexilar puts it out. It's just on a
Yeah,
flat screen.
your flasher style.
Yeah. So, you know, it's like everybody's kind of trying to do the same thing. They're all fighting for a piece of the pie. So it's like
Yep.
if you learn it from one thing, sure, the settings might be a little bit different, the menus might be a little bit different, the picture might be a smidge different, but they're all trying to portray the same picture.
Right. And
like they're trying to provide the same information.
you being able to read it is the biggest thing.
Correct.
Like you being able to decipher what the information that the equipment is giving you, it ultimately will give you an advantage with your own whatever system you're using.
Correct. Yeah. And I think certain brands have perks. You know, some are ahead of the curve in certain things, but like I said, they're all fighting for the same slice of pie.
Well, it's no different than buying a different vehicle. If you're a Ford guy versus a Chevy guy versus a Dodge guy, you know what I mean? Like,
Right. We're all kind of biased on the thing that we drive or use and like,
but realistically, each thing does one thing better than the other.
and it all kind of gets the same job done.
Well, right.
Gets you from point A to point B.
Yeah, at
for
the end of the
most
day,
part.
you're pulling your camper or whatever the hell you're doing with it. It's the same concept. You're still reading a sonar. It's just in a different vehicle.
Yeah. So one thing that I am actually really excited about with this whole boat thing is we need to figure out how to fab the best live scope pole to ever exist.
How are we going to do that?
I don't know yet. But
I'm in. I mean,
that's my biggest thing is I want something efficient. I want something rugged. I want something that I can adjust in multiple different planes. Like when I was looking at some of the stuff, and not to knock any brands that make live scope poles, I think Garmin's live scope pole is the worst out of all of them, personally.
yeah, I would agree. It's very
But,
just
like,
rudimentary.
Some of these other ones that are on the market are, you know, only singular plane where they can adjust, or they feel flimsy, or they don't telescope, or they don't, you know, like there's just like
Why the hell wouldn't you, like, at a start point, at the most basic start point of designing these, excuse me, paint roller rod.
That's what we were thinking about, because it's extendable.
It's an existing piece of equipment.
Yeah.
That can most definitely be utilized in this format.
Yep.
I mean, to the best extent.
Yep. So my thing is on a boat, obviously you don't necessarily need extendable, but also if I want to be able to take it directly from boat to ice fishing application, it does need to be extendable.
Then leave it, and here's where I think the difference would be. Mark it off. Put your length markings on the actual
Pole
extension
itself,
part.
Yeah.
So
and you
at
say this is your
point,
setting for X amount of depth on your hull of your boat. Mm-hmm. This is your, 4 to 12 inches of ice. Your next click is your, 12 to 18.
Mm-hmm.
So then you just have these guidelines of just like, okay, this is where it can get set at. This is where it can stay at. I can condense it.
Yeah, 12 inches it works best at this, and then you would just measure it from the non-extending where the extension folds into the handle.
Correct.
So from that point, when it's all the way closed, you are at
X amount of depth.
Yeah, whatever that length is,
Yeah.
and then from there, there's a mark at every half a foot, every 6 inches.
Yep.
And then and if you're in between the 6 inches, you take a friggin' Sharpie marker and you make a line and you write a little note on it.
18 inches, yeah.
Yeah, this is best for this amount of ice, or this is best for this boat.
Yeah, and just I think having the ability to just fluctuate scenarios is so important, and a lot of these don't even have that. I mean, Garmin's, you have to unscrew poles apart, and they don't stay threaded, so you got to tape them, and if you got to take them apart, you're untaping, that's inconvenient. That's stupid.
Oh, it's a huge inconvenience, especially when you take trips like we did up to Red Lake, and you don't know what to expect necessarily, and so now you're going up there, and you're like, well, hopefully my extension that I brought is good enough.
Yeah, sufficient.
Or you pre-put your extension on and you get up there and you're like, oh shit, we don't need this, so let's tear this thing apart.
Right. And there's nothing worse than having your transducer hang way lower than it needs to, and then a fish wraps around it. You lose a fish hole because it wrapped itself around an extra 12 inches of transducer pole.
Or vice versa. And that's just another thing, is their frickin' extensions are aggressive.
Yeah, they're huge. I think they're 18-inch extensions.
It's just too much. Yeah, so there needs to be... I need to be able to set it to it exactly what I need, and there's technology out there that exists for painting the frickin' ceiling on your goddamn house, and it's so frustrating that these damn engineers who aren't doing it.
Yeah, and then I want something that can fold up and out of the way. I want it to be able to pivot on a horizontal plane so that I can spin it to run along the gunnel rail of my boat. I want it quick removable, that I can quick attach it up to the bow, or I can put it on the back, or I can put it on the starboard or the port side. It seems logical. Right?
All right, Max and Ty's Kickstarter coming at you here soon. We're gonna be inventing something that's universal across all of them.
Sharks? We did this one other episode. Just Shark Tank and everything.
Oh God.
But then or 3D printing shit, or 3D printing brackets and handles, and you're fishing in negative degree weather. Do we really think this is the best approach?
Right.
And I don't necessarily think metal is always the best approach either, because it gets cold. I don't know how to do it yet, but I'm gonna fucking find something, because I'm sick of having these different poles that cost $300 not do what I want them to do.
We're going to do it. We're going to Kickstarter it, and then we're going to give everybody who buys one on the podcast a discount. So,
boom.
A year from now, we're going to have something.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that.
Not even a year from now. It'll be in the next month. We'll have a...
Oh, God.
We'll have a prototype.
Oof.
Have to.
All right.
Got to figure it out.
Yeah.
All right, big dog. Let's keep this puppy moving. We're at an hour already.
Hey, guys. It's Ty here from the Wilderness Whiskey Roundtable podcast. I'm excited to talk to you guys about the amazing Camp Lake St. Joseph up in Ontario, Canada. Sarah and Andy Arnold just took over this beautiful resort and are excited to bring you guys up here. If you're looking for a serene getaway into the wilderness of Ontario, Canada, this is your spot. Bring your family or bring a group of friends and have an experience of a lifetime. Here at Camp Lake St. Joseph, you will be able to get out on the remote Lake St. Joseph where you catch huge trophy walleye and monster pike. You can bring your own boat up or rent one of ours. Come up and enjoy our rustic cabins, enjoy the fresh air, and get your chance of some fishing of a lifetime. We also will be offering an amazing guide service you can use. Max, our guide, will do everything in his power to get you onto these giant Ontario monsters. Sarah and Andy have put together a welcoming, fun, outdoor haven for you to enjoy. So check us out at our website and book your trip. It's camplakestjoseph.com or give us a jingle at 1-800-JOE-CAMP. That's 1-800-JOE-CAMP. And we hope to see you up there this summer at Camp Lake St. Joseph. Okay.
What are we drinking?
Well, hold on.
No, we'll talk about that after. But it ties in.
I think. Okay, fine.
It ties
fair
in.
enough. Fair enough.
Ties in.
Dickhead. What? Oh shit! I'm on the mic. My bad.
Oh shit!
Don't you mute my mic. Tonight's bottle is Elijah Craig. Again, it's another. I think I picked it up at the old Sammy's for $26, I believe.
Yeah, 24 to 29 is the standard price point on this puppy. It is way too cheap.
It is way too cheap because it's a 94 proof bottle, which is pretty decent.
Perfect.
Yeah. Normally you're looking at like 80s, high 80s.
Yeah,
I would say for that
either
price
get
point.
your low alcohol volume, or you're just it's a rye that's not called a rye, which is annoying too. Because if you're over 100, it just tastes like a rye to me.
As per usual, Kentucky straight bourbon. Obviously, we like that here.
We like it.
Their label says Elijah Craig, father of bourbon.
Old Eli.
First to char oak barrels. So that seems like a pretty
significant step in bourbon.
That's a good
processing.
statement to just be like, yo, we did it first.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't researched that to know if that's true, but it's on the label.
I don't know if they could say it if it wasn't true.
Well,
somebody would have came after that.
You sure think so?
True.
With Buffalo Trace being one of the oldest distilleries in the country, it's hard to say. I don't know. It seems like a big flex, but anyways, it says it on the bottle. So made in true small batches for balance and smoothness, and that is accurate to a T because this bottle here is very well balanced, very well smooth. There's not too much spicy. There's not a huge afterburn. It's an easy drinker.
Deli shoes. It is deli shoes.
Delicious. Delicious. You have to say it with an accent, otherwise nobody gets it. Delicious. Let's give it up. A little ASMR. Elijah Craig. $17.89 is what it says in the bottle.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's unique to their small batch because they have some other ones that are dated differently. It's good.
What you picking up on?
See, if I wait too long, I do get the spice on the back end, and it kind of like it almost it doesn't overpower, but it just kind of makes me forget the initial front of it.
You gotta chew it.
I did chew it.
You gotta chew it better.
There's caramel.
Caramel's very pertinent in it. Sweetness to it.
Cherry, I think, is cherry.
I would say cherry. Aftertones. A little bit of spice on the back end of the tongue there. Just a hint of burn down the throat after it sits for a little bit. I
think, like, the charred barrels always give me, like, this toasty...
Mm-hmm. Like a roasted marshmallow almost.
Yeah, Mm-hmm. It's toasty is the best term that comes to my mind as far as, like, I don't even know how to explain it. But
I think, like, if you get a perfect golden brown marshmallow.
Yeah. Kind of the color of this bottle.
It is, yeah. The color of the whiskey itself, I would say, is toasty marshmallow.
Perfectly toasted.
I'm putting that thing on a s'more, for sure.
I want some more.
I want some more, baby. What do we got for the tasting notes?
All right. We are... Okay. This is a different synopsis here from liquor.com. We got pros and cons this time.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So we are saying pros are the soft, round texture of this bourbon remains intact against the heat of the alcohol. 100% agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
There are lots of layers to it. Fruit, confectionery notes, spice.
Ogres have layers.
Layers, like an onion.
Onion.
And a snappy toastiness that keeps its richness in check.
Boom. We're getting good at this, ladies and gentlemen.
Toasted.
Toasted.
Boom, toasted.
Boom, toasted.
You want to know what the cons are, though?
What are the cons?
The rich flavor and texture may be perceived as too sweet for certain bourbon lovers.
Ah.
And especially for Scotch fans. Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you're a Scotch fan, drink your Scotch.
Well, yeah.
It's not a Scotch. It's not a Scotch whiskey.
They're two different things.
It's a totally different thing.
And Scotch tastes nothing like whiskey if you get a real true Scotch.
Well, Scotch is whiskey.
I'm sorry. Scotch tastes nothing like bourbon.
Bourbon,
That's what
yes.
I meant. Yeah.
All bourbon is whiskey, and all whiskey is not bourbon.
Correct. Damn it.
Damn it.
Compared to Scotch.
On the nose, we have ripe banana, apples, butter cookies.
Interesting. I guess I get a little bit of butter
vanilla.
tonation. Vanilla? Vanilla ice.
Vanilla ice, baby. On the palate, it manages an impressive balance of flavor and heat. Round, plush, and sweet on the palate with well-integrated peppery spice notes. Exactly. The finish is vanilla and caramel sweetness, and as the sip lingers, a drying note of toast and spice. So no cherry.
No cherry. That was about the only thing I could say.
Yeah, I didn't get that one right, but
It said caramel, right?
caramel, yep.
Yeah. So we nailed it,
Pretty
other than the
much,
cherry.
yeah. Pretty much professionals. Liquor.com, if you need us to review any whiskeys, send a bottle our way.
Liquor.com.
Liquor.
Be careful with the website, HTTP there, because there's a good chance you might pull something else up.
Let's see what liquor.com is.
Oh, man. That reminds me of the story of V back in the day in high school there. I guess there used to be a website.
Domain is for sale.
Really?
Yeah, that surprises me. I was definitely expecting to see something weird.
Yeah, me too. There used to be a whitehouse.com, and I guess it was a porn site. And
instead of whitehouse.gov when you were looking for the government, the actual physical White House in D.C.
And so there was a time where that accidentally got put up on the screen, not knowing, it was just an accidental type. And I guess it pulled that up and
showed the kids?
I guess, yeah. This was years and years ago. But he told us that story. He's like, yeah, so don't go to that website because I almost got in a whole bunch of trouble for it, which...
See, I think that'd be hilarious. Like
it is hilarious.
The whole Rickroll thing.
Yeah, it's totally accidental.
You just go buy a bunch of domains that people could accidentally mistype. Like instead of .net, it's .com, and all of a sudden it's just Rickroll.
Just a direct link to frickin' porn.
Just staring down the pipe.
Yeah, he was like, it was instantly just...
See, and the bad thing about those is they're always like such aggressive sites too.
Oh yeah, he's like
no
it was.
such thing as like.
He said it was bad right off the bat. It was like, oh no! And he's like trying to click out of it as quick, and everyone's laughing.
All the viruses are popping up because he just got the whole school got hacked at the same time.
Pop up, pop up, pop up, pop up. Dong 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 dong. Just phases you out. No.
Oh man. No, you had something cool in the whole realm of whiskey.
I did. So it popped up on my feed today, probably because I...
pop up.
Yeah, right.
You get those too?
On the old Insta. And I'm probably going to fuck the name, but... Cathedral... Just kidding. This was a joke. Cathedral Dough Whiskey. And it's Isky.
It's EY.
That's what I thought. I'm like, am I saying this wrong? But no, it's.
They spell things different.
It is, because it's actually in Brazil, and it's a museum of whiskeys. They have 23,000 bottles of whiskey,
This thing looks freaking cool.
Oh, it's so cool. I would totally look it up, because like the whole freaking museum is just bottles and bottles and bottles of different whiskeys, and there's a whole bunch of different types of bottles of whiskey. So there's ceramics, there's crystal, there's porcelain, and I believe their claim to fame was that it was the
it's the
largest collection in the world. So
the crazy thing is, from the outside, it looks like nothing special.
It kind of looks like a little church. It looks like an old little church.
Hence cathedral.
Fair enough. Okay, fair enough.
But like, I would just walk past it and think nothing of it, to be quite honest with you.
No, it does say Cathedral do Whiskey on the front of it, but it
doesn't provide any inkling of what is inside of this place.
No.
Like, I'm talking, this looks like one of the largest libraries you've ever seen. Like, you see those big libraries that are just like books to the ceiling, and that's what it looks like.
Yep. It's stacked and stacked and stacked. I actually have to translate the whole website if you get on their website. It's 10,000 bottles of glass and crystal, 3,000 bottles of ceramics and porcelain, and then it's 10,000 bottles of, like, they just say miniature, so it must just be smaller batch-based bottles. I don't know.
Or I wonder if, like, the miniature is like what a 750 is for us, like a 0.75.
And it could be just being out of a different country. Like,
yeah.
Like I said, the whole website's in a different language.
So they have, like, these leather chairs and couches in the middle of it, and you're just surrounded by all of these whiskeys, and they have, like, special displays for more unique bottles. It looks like they had some, like, special edition golf one. Like, there's some crazy stuff in here. Like, it's neat. I thought, like, by looking at it with, like, the furniture and stuff, that you could go in and you could taste it, but I guess it's more like a museum.
But right here's a bar. Here's a picture of an actual
they
bar.
Still sell stuff, but I'm assuming most of that stuff on the display is not. You know, I'm sure they have traditional stuff at the bar. You could maybe still sit down and get a drink. That looks like an old school, like, clock. Oh no, is that a barrel? Are those barrels?
No, I can't even tell you what I'm looking at. This site has so many so you crank it on the side. Is it an old music box thing? I don't know. They got some really cool stuff in this
neat.
place.
You should check it out, actually.
Yeah, and it looks like they've got, like, a little outdoor area.
Peacock?
Oh, there's a peacock out there. That's awesome. Pool table in there. So yeah, they obviously serve whiskeys, and I'm guessing if you have money in the wallet, I bet you.
Do you think they're opening a bottle off that shelf?
I'm guessing they don't have, like, the ancient ones for sale, but I can't help but think they have some
that they
ones.
Maybe have a couple, like, extra in the back in the cellar somewhere that they can replace, or. Yeah, that's wild.
They've got the stained glass windows.
It looks like an old church. I mean, it must be an old church.
It's got to be.
Oh,
cool. Like waterfall. Oh, there's a pool on the one side.
Oh. I wonder if there's not a resort back there behind it
must
or something.
Be. This place it's getting cooler and cooler every picture I look at.
Let's go to Brazil.
I'm booking a ticket now, and we're going next Wednesday. We'll do the podcast from this place.
One-way trip, never coming back.
Oh, yeah. I live in there. They'll have to arrest me because actually they wouldn't even arrest me. I'd just die in there. To try a little bit of everything.
Isn't Brazil a non-extradition country?
God, I hope so. But yeah, no, it's a cool spot. Again,
there's 2 stories to it too. That's actually the craziest thing. Is, like, there's a whole second floor that's just more bottles to the ceiling.
I'm spending 8 hours in this place just looking at what
I don't even think that's even scratching the surface.
No, I don't think you're seeing it all. So, again, Cathedral do Whiskey, and that's Whisky, no E in it.
And Cathedral without an H.
Yeah, Cathedral without a...
Cathedral.
Cathedral do whiskey. Yeah, no, check it out. Looks awesome. Come with us if you want. Let us know. Next up on the list, we just got the St. Croix rod order in, or it's on its way anyways. Should be here soon.
Yep. We're expecting tomorrow, Saturday. Well, no, not tomorrow. Friday or Saturday. I
Perfect.
forget what day it is, but yeah, our whole big order between all of our personal stuff and all of the storefront stuff should be here. They had only 3 rods out of stock, which will ship beginning of May, basically.
Sure.
And it was just 3 of the finesse walleye rods. So one of those was for me and 2 were for the store. So no big deal when those come. They come.
We're going to be... So that just leads us into rigging everything up now.
Yep.
Which actually is a good little tidbit of the gear of the week.
Yeah.
Talking about some high-vis line.
Yeah. So I personally am a huge fan of high-vis mainline braid. I like to be able to have the option of line watching, and with some of your other colors, obviously, it's just harder to see. So when you get into your high-vis yellows, it's much easier to watch where that hits the water and be able to watch for really, really subtle bites with a high-vis line. So if you see your line jump, if you see it, veer a direction, if you see it go slack, that's all so much easier to tell with high-vis line.
Mm-hmm.
So there's certain techniques that I like to run high-vis braid mainline on, and I think that's a really, really cool aspect. Obviously, if you're running braid to leader, the high-vis mainline doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It just gives you that opportunity to see that better. And my eyes aren't that great, and they're only going to get worse. So if anything to help me see that, it's a neat advantage that really doesn't offer any disadvantage to you if you're running braid to leader.
That's what happens when you get old.
Yeah.
It sucks. We're not that old, but fuck, it feels like it some days.
No, and when you start to see, when you see a decline in certain, eyesight or something like that, it's like, holy cow, this is a real freaking thing.
It makes a big difference, especially when it comes to fishing certain techniques. I was doing that drop worm the other day while we were fishing.
Your drop shot,
yeah. And it was mostly based on just watching your line slack.
Yep.
And it was a braided line, and it kind of matched the
it was a moss green,
which matches all of the lakes down by us. Not quite yet. It was still clearing up, but it was cloudy out.
Yeah, and when you have a little bit of wind that blows some slack in your line anyways, and, there's just so many... And say you cast out 60, 80 feet.
Yeah.
Well,
so
good luck seeing that,
I would have preferred some high-vis at that point.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, my eyes... Knock on frickin' wood, my eyes have been good.
Yeah.
For the most part, but...
Yeah. It's just a slight advantage... when, like I said, there's no real disadvantage to it,
Right.
Obviously, don't tie fucking glow-in-the-dark yellow straight to your jig, because you're probably not going to get... obviously, there's times where the fish will bite anything in front of their face, but it's not going to be super advantageous on a finicky fish. You're not going to catch it.
Just frickin' plutonium-based, glow-in-the-dark.
Just neon.
Just, you see it in the daylight under the water. Glowing.
Just everywhere. All that line that's wrapped around that telephone pole just glowing in the dark.
Oh, man. That stupid freaking telephone pole. I almost got caught up in that shit again.
Yeah. No, and I think the important thing is also understanding which techniques it matters on, too. You don't have to spool every reel that you own with high-vis line, right? That's...
No, it all depends on what you're tying on.
So, when I'm sitting here thinking, okay... my finesse tactics, your drop shots or your Ned rigs, any of your jigs, if you're, maybe not on your power jigging rods or stuff like that, but if you're just standard pitch and jigs and stuff like that, absolutely. A lot of those are very, very dependent on feel and line watching. Mm-hmm. So if you can't feel it, you're line watching, or vice versa, or you might be using both techniques to detect bites.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the braid comes in too, is you feel everything better. So if you can kill two birds with one stone on being able to sight line watch and feel better, why not on those techniques?
You're just better off at that point. You're just helping yourself.
Right.
As far as cost difference or anything like that, what are you talking?
There isn't one.
And I didn't think so.
No, I think most people just stray away from it because it's yellow. Like, these high-vis things, they look at it and they're like, oh, yeah, no, that's...
There's definitely, like, a natural human bias towards it, I feel like, to where you're just like, well, I don't like that color.
Well, that and, like, just logically thinking, you're like, oh, no, the fish is going to see that. That's stupid.
And that
doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
But then you just, like I said, you run a 6-foot leader of...
Do fish see in color?
I think they do. I do think it matters.
I'm curious, actually.
I think, so from my understanding is they have 3 cones of vision, or 3 color cones, so they can see different colors, but they don't see the color like we see the color.
Okay, so here's what this says. We have 3 different kinds of cones in our eyes, called red, green, and blue, make human color vision possible. The goldfish has 4 kinds of cones, red, green, blue, and ultraviolet.
Which is why your UV works when you're ice fishing.
Other fish have different numbers and kinds of cones, meaning that they all have the capability of seeing in color. There you go.
Sure. So maybe, like, I don't remember. I saw bass. They didn't have the ability to see certain colors, but they saw those colors as other colors. So they still have cones that can see color. It just shows up as a different color than what we would interpret it as with 3 cones.
Mm-hmm. Here's what I want to know is how the hell they figure that out. Is it just a biology of the eye?
I'd have no idea.
Because
you can't ask the fish.
Right, that's what I mean.
I would love to sit down and have a fish as a guest here and just break its brain down.
But I also don't think they could have figured out that we can see cones of... Because I've never described color as...
Oh, that's a red-green cone.
Oh, yeah, it's the cones in my eyes, Max. See, I'm looking at those bungee cords over there, and because of the 3rd cone, I see red.
Yeah, and there's
because
a slight
of the 2nd
overlap.
Cone...
Yeah,
no. Right. No, it doesn't happen. So it's
got to
be some sort of, like,
there has to be an
dissecting
anatomical something behind it that you can actually tangibly, like you said, dissect.
Blech. Fucking just thinking about cutting eyeballs open is freaking me out. This just brought this up too because I looked it up. What color are fish attracted to? And I don't know how true this is, but I know guys do it. This says green light and white light are most common colors used to attract fish to boats.
So, again, I don't know what... I actually do know what it is. I don't know why it is, but green attracts bugs, which attracts bait, which attracts predatory fish. So it's like this big, like, downstream, like, food chain
So
thing.
It's not necessarily the fish itself is like, oh, it's green.
Right. No, you're getting mosquitoes and moths to hit the surface of the water for some reason, whatever their reason for going after green light, which then attracts small bait fish to eat that, or panfish, or whatever it may be. And then typically, your predatory fish sit on the outside of that and look to ambush said bait fish or smaller fish.
No, that makes sense.
It really is technically no different than how the whole life cycle works anyways. Like, say a mayfly hatch happens or a lily pad bloom. Like, they go where the bait is, which goes where their food is, which goes where their food is. It's just the life cycle of it. I think that's just us as humans influencing where it happens at.
Right. No, that makes... And that totally
Which I'm
makes
pretty
sense.
sure is illegal in Minnesota.
To do lighting?
The green light?
Yeah, the green light I think is...
I'm 99% sure.
I think so too, but I think there's still guys that do it.
Well, there probably is.
Well, okay, so in that sense, especially from an ice fishing perspective, because I've got a big frickin' LED strip on the side of my ice house, I can just turn it green.
Well, right. I think the law is that it can't be in the water. Correct. Now, hypothetically, say you have crystal clear ice with no snow on top of it.
Well, let's just say it.
That green light is shining through that.
It's penetrating.
Same thing with if you had it on the outside of your boat.
Actually, we cammed down when we were up on Red. we threw your camera down
Yep.
that one night.
Yep.
And I purposely, when we were putting the camera down, I
Flashing
put the green
thing.
light.
Yeah.
And I turned it all the way up. And I seen it for the first, like, I want to say 4 foot that we
Couple
dropped.
feet. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay.
And we had snow up there even.
Yeah, there was.
So.
And it penetrated that.
Significant. Yeah. So now you think you have it wrapped around the outside of your boat or something, which that might be illegal
In open water.
at night anyways, because you have to have certain colored lights on to show which way.
What if you did it
Yeah.
to mimic the sides? Because I think
right. It's green and red.
right, but I think red is on the right if you're looking off the boat.
Yeah, if somebody was looking at it, it would be on the left side.
Because it's starboard and
Port.
yeah. And I don't know which
I don't
is
know which
which.
one's which either.
No. Are we bad boaters because we don't know that?
Maybe. I don't even have that on my boat. But I also don't fish at night.
I don't know if V boats have red.
You're supposed to put them on.
They don't come with it, though.
You're supposed to put them on, I'm pretty sure.
That's bullshit.
Or, no, maybe you just have to have a nav light. I don't know what the...
I don't know either.
I don't know.
Oh, you know what they do?
Do they?
They have the one up front, and it's split. One side's green, one side's red, and it's port and starboard.
So I'm going to be honest. In my boat, I've never fished at night to the point of having to have it turned on. So I just don't even know. I
Sure.
don't even know if it works.
And then you're supposed to have the one in the back.
Yeah, your nav
with
light
yeah.
on the pole.
Getting off of that, because we're running out of time here. Did you see the freaking spinning fish in Florida?
Yeah, that's a bad deal.
What the fuck is going on?
I don't know.
They don't know.
And there's like...
I read the article, and they're like, they test for pollution. They test for, like, acidity level. They tested for temperatures, like, being out of range or fluctuating quickly.
Sure.
And what I've read, they can't figure out why.
Because what I read was there was a significant amount of, like, species endangered fish that were dying from
It was the those big toothed sawfish.
Oh, yes. Yep. And that's not the only fish that's experiencing it, but obviously that was a big deal because that one's already on the verge of basically extinction.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're dying of something that's just literally, like, nobody has an explanation for.
Right.
You know, it kind of reminds me of the whole, like, bird flu thing when birds were just falling out of the sky.
And just dying.
But, like, there has to be a tangible answer for everything, right? So it's like...
So here it says, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission has found no signs of communicable disease, no red tide toxins, no issues with oxygen, salt levels, pH, or water temperatures.
See, that's weird. What's happening?
So the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration announced what it calls an emergency response focused on the Florida Keys starting this week.
I wonder if there's not something like tidal-wise, as far as like what the tide is doing, that's putting them into this like spin cycle that's like disorientating. And I just don't know. Like obviously, I'm speculating.
Right, and that's because I don't know enough about oceanic fish. And actually, I do have somebody who's a marine biologist that I could potentially reach out to. And
Get him on the pod.
That's what I'm saying.
Call him right now.
Get a follow-up on. Yeah, right?
Get the Zoom up.
She might know more about it, but I don't know. This is super interesting because even when I had initially seen it, it would have been a day, maybe 2 days ago. And even the news article that got posted was like, yep, we have no idea why, but these fish are killing themselves, essentially. They're just spinning themselves to death.
See, and that's something that's really weird to me is like I said, I feel like mostly everything, like there is a reason this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
We just haven't found it yet.
Right.
So like what the heck is going on in this world? There's new stuff that's happening that is so significant that it's literally basically extincting.
Well, and specifically, it seems like sawfish, but the what I seen about it was like a big majority of them were all just doing it, but This
But
says
there were 2 or 3 other species of stuff that were doing it, that they weren't just like labeling it as a sawfish,
Right.
as an individual population.
so interesting. It says sawfish can live for decades and grow quite large, some as long as 16 feet. They were once found all along the Gulf of Mexico and southern Atlantic coast in the U.S., but now they're mainly in southwestern Florida and the Keys Island chain as their habitats shrink.
See, that's weird too. So like, you got a species that is essentially a dinosaur,
Right. Super old species.
but somehow either it's not repopulating, it's not reproducing, and somehow it's dying. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, one, this is a pretty large predatory fish that's done a really, really good job at living for a really, really freaking long time.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is happening to him now? What's changed?
And
And
this is, once again, we're going back into climate change. You know, they said it's not clear if the deaths and odd behaviors are related to a lengthy summer heat in Florida waters, experts say was driven by climate change.
sure.
Because, like, if you know anything about ocean water, I know enough to be not even dangerous, but, like, if you follow, like, chloral bleaching and stuff like that, it's caused by high temperatures in water.
Right.
And that's what they're contributing some of this to be potentially to.
Sure.
Because, like this says, superheated waters cause marine damage such as chloral bleaching and deaths of other ocean species.
Sure. Right.
And it is superheating. Like, these waters are reaching like 104 degrees.
Well, and you got to think too, like, density of salt water is different than just standard density of just plain water. Like, there's a lot of things that go on in salt water. But this, I mean, this is a real thing. It's kind of a scary thing when you think about, like,
Right.
some of these things that have existed for so long, like a subtle change and the flip of the switch, and all of a sudden stuff are dying.
Well, it's only like your margin of error is only like 3 to 4 degrees.
It's narrow, yeah. It's very slim.
But also, when you're talking water temperature, 3 to 4 degrees is a lot.
Significant,
That's a
right.
huge change. So, I don't
I
know.
would be
That was from
curious-
The Hill that I read that from,
Sure.
just to give...
I would be
Reference
curious to
point.
see some data on, like, swim bladder and stuff like that. Like, is there any dysfunction in, like, possibly like a split-walled swim bladder that it's overinflating on one side and under, and that's causing some sort of, like, rotational buoyancy?
Right.
God, that sounded really smart.
I'm in. Sold me. I don't know.
But you
I'm
know what I
gonna.
mean? Like,
I'm
there's,
definitely gonna
like-
keep an eye on this story, because we're talking like most of what I'm seeing right here. The farthest one out where it started is 5 days ago. So we're not like, this is a very
This is
fresh
happening now.
story.
Yeah.
And so I'm assuming the scientists are all hitting this one hard. but
Right.
I guess the best we can do, without knowing, we're not deep water fishermen, we're not ocean fishermen, like to be, but
We'll just keep paying attention to
yeah, because I mean,
because
I can't help but think eventually, if we keep weather like this, our waters are gonna start heating
well, yeah,
up.
like,
and
does that
could
start
you see
happening to your sturgeon? Like, that's the first fish that comes to mind.
Right.
That's relatable to this. You know, obviously a freshwater version, but essentially a prehistoric animal that can grow very, very large and has been alive for a long, long time.
16 feet long?
Yeah,
You know how long it takes to grow 16 feet long?
that's what I'm saying. You know, and sturgeons are relatively underpopulated in a lot of areas in the States. And, you know, that would be the thing that I would think of from a freshwater standpoint that would relate. And if that all of a sudden started happening and diminishing something close to home, you know, that hits home. You know, just because
Yep.
it's happening in Florida and we don't know what the fuck a sawfish is, doesn't mean that that's not a serious thing.
Well, right. I mean, it just, you just start to think, like, again, like we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, like, if we keep heading in this direction, what is our lakes? What do
What's
our
the
lakes
future
and
look
fishing
like?
look like?
Yeah.
Because we're in the middle of the country, but guess what? It all starts coming home. I mean, it already has. Look at our weather.
Right. Yeah,
So,
and that's just something like, one, yes, I want to see this through. I want to see what the answer is to this. But I also want to know if there's something that we as people, consumers, as fishermen, can do to help prevent this.
yeah, if you can mitigate it, I mean, I'd love to know, because let's start doing it.
Right, even our small little group of people that we can possibly encourage to do this, I have to think that it matters.
Even if it starts at the coast
fish.
and yeah, right?
Save the fish.
Exactly. Save the fish, save the fisherman. Save a horse, ride a cowboy. Same concept.
Yeehaw.
You know? So,
on that note,
I'll end it with this little article I found. I thought it was kind of cool. It's from Wisconsin, actually. And Wisconsin Outdoor News. At 103, this Reuben Kolpak is still making milestones in the outdoors. And I'm just going to read the little tidbits because I thought it was kind of cool.
103, huh?
Yeah. And he's still outdoors. He actually hunted the 2023 season for deer.
Let's go, Reuben.
He bow hunted and he shotgun rifle hunted.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Holy shit, maybe I do want to see 100.
Right? So he's 103 years old. He was in World War II, recipient of the Silver Star, the Purple Heart, the African European Medal, Victory Medal, and a Belgian medal on the recommendation of the French government. So, don't know what that means. Married for 77 years. She died in March at 97. Rest in peace. Successful farmer, but he's the oldest licensed Wisconsin deer hunter at age 102.
That's nuts.
And he was made the Wisconsin Outdoor News Person of the Year for 2024. So, rightfully so, sounds like.
Yeah, first off, Reuben, thank you for serving. But second off, man, good for you. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Like, I guess that's... Like I said, if that's how I'm going to live out 100 plus, by all means, if I can continue doing the thing that I love.
Dude picked up a bow and went.
See that? I was wondering about that. Were we crossbowing?
It didn't specify.
It didn't say?
One would like to assume.
I would have to imagine.
One would like to assume that. But
maybe
still.
that dude is just a brute freaking tank and he's still drawing back 45 pounds and just slinging them.
But even if he picked up the frickin' crossbow, he picked up a frickin' shotgun and went slug hunting.
That's what I mean. Like,
you're
still in
shouldering
a physical state to where you can do that.
You're shouldering a shotgun and popping a deer?
Yeah.
Bro, the fact that it doesn't knock your 103-year-old ass out of the tree. Good for you, man.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That is frickin' props. And golly, like you said, if that's what 103 looks like for me, I'll do it. But if not, I'm dying at 80.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, if I'm incapable, that's where I want it to stop. But this is living proof that there are people who will continue to do the thing that they love way past what I ever thought my life expectancy would be. So I hope to goodness gracious that I get to do that for another 80 years.
And the guys from Wisconsin. I know some decent Wisconsin people, but I also know what most of Wisconsin looks like. And I'm not tagging anybody out here. I'm not pointing fingers, but like the fact that you lived 100, it's not a blue zone. That's what I'm getting at. Wisconsin isn't like one of those blue zones they talk about all the time by any means of the imagination. So just for living that long there.
Oh, yeah, that something didn't get you before 103?
Yeah.
Good on you, big guy.
Big shout out. I thought that was
that's cool.
A fun story. I just was flipping through some stuff, so
that's fun.
I had to share that one.
I wonder what the Minnesota record is for that.
We could look it up quick. That'd be a good little MN
oldest
deer license. Wisconsin's beating us.
Nearly 100, so 99.
Yeah.
So now, first off, I want to beat the Minnesota record. But I want to take it back from Wisconsin, too. So I want to see 104 in a day. Or if I go out on my birthday, fine. 104 in a second.
So he's only 102 because it was last year's license.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
He's 103 now.
Yeah, so the record's 102.
But he ain't quit yet.
That's true.
I bet you that guy still got a driver's license.
That's crazy.
I bet you he does. Like,
That's crazy.
The picture of him, he looks very, very healthy for his age.
Good on you, big guy.
Here, I'll show you the picture just so you can see it. His son is on the left there.
Oh, let's go.
I think his son's like 65.
His son almost looks worse than he does.
I thought he said. No, it doesn't say how old his son is.
Ruben is a trooper.
Look at this guy. Look at that guy.
Still full mouth of teeth even.
Oh,
I don't
man.
know if they're dentures or not, but
You know what? They look like natural teeth. That was like.
that dude is a trooper. He's definitely pulling a bow back still.
It looks like it.
Yeah, that
He
dude
looks-
works out still.
Yeah, he looks hardy. That guy's hitting the gym.
He's training for this stuff still.
His wife just passed. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna get it again.
Time to get back on the saddle.
Hitting the gym, just like what is that? Not Bad Grandpa, but what the hell is it with Robert De Niro and Zac Efron? Dirty Grandpa.
Dirty Grandpa, yeah.
I want to get sex. I'm gonna get laid. Yeah, no. So on that note, little happier note on the way out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think we're gonna end it here.
Yep, I think that was another good one. A little over an hour and a half again.
Yeah.
We seem to have a lot to talk about, so I hope you guys are still enjoying everything, but we are going to wrap it up.
We will see you guys next week. Quick apology for this week's posting. We had a little bit of technical issue loading some of this stuff, but we're getting it up tonight, if not early tomorrow morning for last week's. Again, we're going to keep pushing forward. Noobs at it. Cheers to you guys. We will see you next week. There's another... You know what? Let's just do it. We got to do this one right. Because last week we cleaned with beers. It doesn't feel right.
It's not the same.
It's not our podcast. Not what we're about. We're not the Bush Light podcast. We are the
Wilderness
Whiskey
Round Table.
Cheers, boys and girls. See you next week.
See you guys. Have a great week.